Wanted to take a moment to explain our use of the diamond concept at a program here at Go College. The diamond concept came from something that I've used for most of my coaching career, but also was highlighted again in a book by Jed Davies focused on the methods of Marcel Bielsa. Just connected some of the simple concepts of the diamond shape in a 4v2 and how we start training this idea of playing around or playing through and how to start manipulating opponents. I found it to strike a chord and better describe some of the similar concepts I've been asking my players to do for some time. So the main thing here is to start by showing you an example within our team setup, how this works. I view this as our first problem that my team must solve in the build-up phase. Here you can see the ball is with our 5, our left center back. We have our left back high and wide. Our 8 is also high, almost in line with the midfield line, maybe a little bit deeper. And then our 11 who's come inside to create a window to receive as well. This shape is pretty consistent, especially it happens quite often. The diamond does in a 4-3-3, a 3-4-3, so our common playing shapes. But again, we're looking to solve this initial problem that we're presented in the build-up. Here's an actual image of a team in this diamond idea. So this would be Stanford in the national championship game. It's not exactly how the shape that we drew up on the prior slide. This time the 6 creates the inside part of the diamond with the 10 coming back to receive, and then the 3 high and wide to receive and play around. The clip here is again from that same game. It's a good example again of this idea of the diamond. It starts with the player coming straight back to the ball. She sets it and then opens up and creates that diamond again. From there, you're able to play through the diamond and move the game forward. The example image that's provided now is from our first game of the 2018 season. Early in the season, we focus a lot of our work on the decisions of our center backs in the beginning of our build-up. The center back's ability to read the game and know when to play through, around, and over is vital to our team's success. Obviously, you can see some arrows are guiding some of the positional changes that are needed from our players, but it gives a good idea of what we're trying to accomplish. Our center back's in possession, no pressure currently on the ball. We want to create those options for that player to be able to, again, read the game. If we can play through, we play through them. If we play around them, we play around them. But again, our first idea is, can we play through them? And if we don't have that good shape, we're not occupying enough defenders to then create the windows to play through. This video is another example of this concept. Our center back is able to receive and play forward. Our 2 has opened up. We're able to then play around their first line of pressure and build the game going forward. Again, as you can see, the 2 opens up wide. The opposition is worried about that central pass. We are able to play around them and get forward. The important thing to look at is the positioning of our 2. She's high and wide enough to where her first touch can bypass that first defensive line of pressure, which is something we talk about a lot. Now, I think it's important to illustrate when things don't go well. And as all coaches know, nothing is perfect, and our teams are learning up until the final day of the season. This image is something that we used in one of our pregame presentations to the team, talking about what we can do to be better. We did not provide our center back in this image the necessary support structure to make a sound decision. And in this case, often our center back would continue either to carry forward and get caught in possession or hit a longer ball into space to no one. And this comes down to our ability to provide that structure right away and help our teammates make the decisions that we want. So next is looking at our training methodology. So we have this concept of the diamond. How do we then introduce it in training? I think it's important that we go with the training methodology now versus right away. Having the background knowledge and understanding of the why behind what we're doing is very important. As I said, we're going to start with the why. we like to reverse engineer the game. So again, looking at the bigger 11v11 picture, our playing structure, how we want to play, how do we then chunk that up into pieces that we can train and make it easy for our players to digest. As you can see, this is a simple to complex session. We use whole, part, whole, different versions of different methodologies, but in this one, it's definitely simple to complex. So through each exercise, we continue to layer in more pressure and more decisions for the player. So in the Jed Davies book on Bielsa, he does like to highlight the use of the 4v2. I know it's something that the use of rondos and how realistic they are to the game has been a constant or a more recent point of discussion in many circles. But again, this is an easy way to highlight this idea of the diamond concept in a 4v2. Often we would start this session with an activation activity being a 4v2 before we get into the technical piece. So again, just trying to drive home the point that though the game is 11v11, it's not always numbers even. And this image is a pretty clear picture of looking to solve the 4v2 problem. Can we play through it, which is always the preferred route because that's the quickest way to the goal, or can we play around it? First stage after the activation would be our Hastings passing exercise. It's really something it's an exercise I took from Chris Cranks at Hastings College, and to be honest, it doesn't even look like the exercise I took from him anymore. I've continued to adapt it and add different ideas that continue to fit our game model and how we want to play. In this exercise, it starts unopposed. In the final stage 3 of the exercise, we do add pressure and we start to provide some decision making. How we use this and the length of time is all based on where we're at in our season. Early in the season, we spend a lot of time on this idea of opening up, good body shape, our ability to receive and play in multiple areas. We spend more time on the early part of the session. As the season advances and we continue to hit upon this, we skip more to the third stage. So our players are making that decision. At the base of the exercise, it's that same idea as, can I play around or can I play through? The next stage is just building on the technical piece that we had before. We created 2v2 plus 2. There's several other positional rondos that you can do to highlight this idea, but for us at the very beginning, it paints the clear picture. So the 2v2 plus 2 creates that 4v2 idea. In the exercise, the yellow targets are able to play each other, so we do have that option of playing through, and then obviously we can use the reds to play around. So the importance of creating the shape to be able to force the blues to either close up space centrally or man mark tight and then allow us to play through. That constant ever-flowing and changing picture allows our yellows and our reds to make the decisions that we need them to make. To paint this picture from a functional positional standpoint, our yellow at the base can represent our center back. The right red can represent our 2. The red on the left could be our 8 and our 6, or the 10, and then we can then have our 7, 11, or 9, depending on which side of the field and what part of the field you're using as the high player that we're playing into. And then finally, we move to a phase of play where we're looking to go get our full team in and looking to get those repetitions of the diamond concept in the full game. Every restart goes through the goalkeeper. We do want the blacks to play a higher line so that our center backs have to solve that immediate pressure. In the image I showed, we offer the wingers, and if we're playing against a 4-3-3, and often this will be based on the opposition we play that week. But again, we ask the wingers to either force our center backs inside with their body shape, taking away the wide player, or they're going to force the game outside, taking away the central player. And then looking at how we choose that option, or which option we choose, and how we solve that problem, and the timing of the movements and everything that comes with it. These concepts have many layers of details that we need to be able to hit upon. So again, it's just presenting these different situations to our players and helping them solve the problems together. The final piece would be we would head into the full 11v11 with tons of repetition, always starting with our goalkeepers, looking to help them solve that problem. I think like I said, there's stages along the way. We could add different positional rondos, like a 4v4 plus 3. We can even go 2v2 plus 3 to help layer in more pressure and more players. It's all up to where your team is at. But this session is a pretty good example of where we're at early in the season. Oftentimes, I'll even play a 5v5 with 2 goals and with targets that need to be used in the build-up. Again, it's a different way to create the same idea of this diamond shape, using our center backs, our outside backs, our center mids, and our wingers or our nines coming back in. I hope you find the presentation to be helpful and have a better feel for this diamond concept that we use here at Coe College.